Hello everyone. In the previous video, I have discussed about semi-autonomous cell organelle. In that, I had discussed about two organelle. One is mitochondria and the other one is plastids. Both of them have their own circular DNA. They have 70S ribosome, and due to that they are called as semi-autonomous. Now coming to the next organelle, which has the main control over all other activities of a cell, that is called as nucleus. Now every nucleus has a structure that we have been discussing from the classification chapters, that in case of eukaryote the nucleus is well developed. Now well developed means over here presence of a nuclear membrane or nuclear envelope, and then presence of nucleolus, and also there are the genetic material, that is the chromosomes are present here. And in case of prokaryotes, all these structures are absent totally. Now here some examples are there, or some cells are there, they do not have nucleus. So here, except these three examples, all other cells essentially has the presence of nucleus. One is over here the RBC, and the other one is platelet of mammals. Even human being, RBC and platelets do not have nucleus. And in case of plant cell, a vascular plant means what? In which the xylem and phloem is present. Here sieve tube is present, which does not have the presence of nucleus. Sieve tube is present in the phloem of vascular plants. You know what is the function of xylem and phloem. So over here we are taking the example sieve tube, which is an element of phloem responsible for transportation of organic food, which is prepared at the aerial part of the plant, that is the leaf over here. Now let us continue with the nucleus now. A cell generally has only one nucleus, but there are again some variation, exceptions are there, or certain conditions arise where what happens, the nucleus divides and later on cytoplasmic division does not take place, and due to that there are conditions arising where more than one nucleus can be present. But generally here we are talking that one nucleus is present in a cell. Now the nucleus for the first time was described by a person, Robert Brown, in 1831. So Robert Brown, he described the nucleus as a cell organelle in 1831, and later on it was seen under the microscope by staining with a basic dye. And then later on another person, Fleming, he gave the name as chromatin. Which we will discuss little later as to what is chromatin. It is inside the nucleus. Now over here, if you look at the figure, this is a cross section of small part, or 1/4 part around, you can say, has been cut to show the internal part of the nucleus. You know that the nucleus is covered or enveloped by a double membrane, outer membrane and inner membrane. When we had discussed about endoplasmic reticulum, so at that time I had discussed that outer membrane is connected to the ER, that is the endoplasmic reticulum. Over here you can see folded structures are there, tubules are there. These are actually the endoplasmic reticulum. Now outer membrane and then inner membrane. Now this outer and inner membrane, in between that there is a space which is called as nuclear space, or otherwise perinuclear space here. And the membrane over here are two, outer and inner membrane. Now in between these two membrane lies a space which is called as perinuclear space, and this perinuclear space is around 10 to somewhere in between this 10 to 15 nanometer. Now this perinuclear space, what does or how does it function over here? It acts as a barrier so that any material or any substance cannot go either inside or towards the outer side. That means over here what is the action or what is the work done by perinuclear space? That is, it acts as a barrier for the flow of material between the inner side of the nucleus and the cytoplasm. Outer side of nucleus means the cytoplasm. So what happens here, certain substances are there which are in the cytoplasm, some other substances which are formed or needed inside the nucleus. So that flow or that transportation, you can say, or movement is controlled by this perinuclear space here. Now there are at different location nuclear pores are present. Here you can see pores are there. You can see over here in the double membrane structure also nuclear pore. This is again present here for the movement of some enzymes and even for the movement of RNA which is formed inside the nucleus over here. Now what happens here in the internal part of the nucleus, if you see here, there is a dense structure, but this dense structure does not have any membrane. This is without any membrane, and this is dense part of the inside the nucleus, which is called as nucleolus. Mainly inside this nucleolus, RNA is synthesized, and that also ribosomal RNA. We can write ribosomal as small r and then followed by RNA. Ribosomal RNA is synthesized inside the nucleolus. Outside the nucleolus but inner to the nuclear membrane, there is presence of chromatin fiber. Now in this figure it is very much condensed. It is shown over here in a very condensed form. But if you look into the other figure down here, you can see over here how the nucleolus is present here, and then outside nucleolus the space is present where the chromatin fibers are dispersed or otherwise spread here. At the time of cell division, these chromatin fiber, they condense. Condense means what? They become shorter and thicker, and then later on they spread into individual chromosomes. They disperse or otherwise they divide into individual chromosomes. Once again, look at this figure, the figure below here, double membrane. In between the membrane over here there is a space which is called as perinuclear space, and then at different location you can see over here the membrane is little bit open there, or it has a small pore present there which is called as nuclear pore. And this nuclear pore, what I said, is present for movement or otherwise to facilitate the transfer of material that is either produced inside the nucleus and has to be transported into the cytoplasm. And that I said that RNA is synthesized over here mainly. RNA is synthesized by the nucleolus, and that also which RNA? Ribosomal RNA, which is present in the construction or otherwise in the synthesis of a ribosome. Ribosome has around 85% of rRNA. Already I have discussed this topic of RNA. Let us continue over here. What is the function of nuclear pore, I said already that it helps in the movement, that is to facilitate the transfer of RNA and also the proteins. See, for synthesis of RNA, also for the duplication of DNA, there is requirement of certain enzymes, and these enzymes are made up of protein. So these proteins or the enzymes required for the synthesis of RNA and also for the DNA is needed inside the nucleus. So that has to be transported, that has to be transferred from the cytoplasm into the nucleus, and when this RNA is produced inside the nucleus, it has to be transported to the outer side. Is it right here? So what happens, that means that nuclear pore are formed at different places where what happens, two membranes have actually fused here. You can see the outer and inner membrane has fused together over this side also. So as a result of that, a small space is left back there, which is called as nuclear pore. Now coming to inner side of the membrane, that is the outer and also the inner membrane. I mentioned earlier that a dense particle is there which is called as nucleolus, but this nucleolus does not have any membrane over here, and actually over here the main work or main function that is carried out inside the nucleolus is the synthesis of ribosomal RNA. Synthesis of ribosomal RNA. And over here, that means what? That they are not bound, mentioned earlier that they are not bound by any membrane. And as a result of that, whatever is contained inside the nucleolus and outside nucleolus, they are not separated by any kind of boundary. They are continuous inside the nucleolus and also outside the nucleolus. Only thing that this part over here, nucleolus, is a dense part, which is little different from the other part. The other part is occupied by what I said, chromatin. These are actually a network of fiber, which the network is made up of nucleoprotein. Means what? Over here the chromosome or the DNA, you can say, the DNA is the fiber chain, double chain is present, and they are bound by or held by protein which is positively charged. The DNA is negatively charged and the protein is positively charged. So as a result of that, what happens, the DNA is made more stable over here. The DNA is made more stable. But at the time of cell division, when the cell is going to divide or has to divide, at that time these chromatin fiber, which are very thin thread like structure, which are spread into the outside the nucleolus but inner to the nuclear membrane, they condense, they become shorter and thicker, and later on they get separated to form individual chromosome. But these chromosomes can be viewed only during the cell division, and that also a stage is there, or the phase, which is called as metaphase stage. We will be studying about the cell division in chapter number 10. Now coming to chromosome, as I said here, that chromatin structure develop into distinct chromosome during the cell division. Now inside this, what all substances are present? That also I have mentioned over here, that they contain what? DNA, and they are bind with the protein which are basic, means positively charged. And then later on, see, proteins are of two types, histone and non-histone protein, and along with that some RNA also is present. Now you know that human being has 23 pair of chromosomes. That means it makes total of 46 chromosomes. That means when all these 46 chromosomes they join together and form a thread like structure, then this is going to form the chromatin fiber. This is going to form the chromatin fiber. And as over here we discussed that during cell division, individual chromosome come into existence. So at that time, how can uh, or how does the chromosome look like? A chromosome is held by a primary constriction. Means a chromosome has a primary constriction, and this primary constriction is called as centromere. The figure down over here you can see constriction or depression you can say over here, and at the center here a circular, almost circular structure is there which is called as centromere. And over here what we are talking, that is the primary constriction to which two chromatids are joined. These are chromatids on the upper side and also on the lower side. The two chromatids are joined over here, or they are held with the help of this centromere. And on the surface of this centromere, a disc-like structure is present which is called as kinetochore. Disc-like structure which is called as kinetochore. In some chromosome, not all, in some chromosome, what happens, a secondary constriction also is seen. At the top if you look over here, that is secondary constriction, and this is called as now as a satellite. Means this gives a appearance actually as a small fragment at the top here, and this structure at the constriction that you can see here is called as satellite. Now let us see 4 different types of chromosome. Means the chromosomes have been classified into 4 types. Chromosomes have been classified into 4 types depending on the location of primary constriction, as to where is the primary constriction or the centromere located. Is it right over here? So what happens here? In the first case, over here it is called as metacentric. Metacentric chromosomes have the location or the presence of centromere or in the middle of the chromatid. Chromatid on the top, chromatid at the bottom. At the central part over here is located the centromere. Means what? The centromere divides the chromatid almost into 2 half, you can say, into 2 equal half. But here we cannot say half, it is called as arm. It is called as over here as arm. That is the top and the bottom over here. 2 arms are present here. Once again, the chromosomes which are having the location or the centromere is located at the central part, or otherwise the middle of the chromatids. And as a result of that, the chromatids are divided into 2 equal arms. So that chromosome or this kind of chromosome is called as metacentric chromosome. The second type, little bit shift is there. The centromere has shifted from the middle to one side, little bit one side. As a result of which, what happens, one arm is longer and the other arm is shorter here. One arm is longer and other arm is shorter, and this has happened because of location or shifting of centromere little bit away from the middle, and that also not a long distance, a slight movement is there. And over here what happens, as a result of which a long arm and a short arm is formed. In case of the third one, which is called as acrocentric, again over here the centromere is further shifted to one side, little bit more over here. What we discussed for the second one, if this centromere is shifted little bit towards one of the end, almost near to the end, then that will become acrocentric here. If you look at over here, the chromosome in which the centromere is located close to one of the terminal end is known as acrocentric chromosome. And in this, one arm is extremely long and the other arm is extremely short. Is it right? One arm is extremely short and the other one is extremely longer over here. Coming to the fourth one, which is called as telocentric chromosome. In case of telocentric chromosome, what happens here? That the chromosome, the centromere is located at one of the end. It is located at the end of the chromatid. So as a result of that, this type of chromosome is called as telocentric. Once again, the centromere is located at one of the terminal end. So this kind of chromosome is known as telocentric chromosome. So that was about the nucleus. In the next video, I am going to include about the small organelles which are present in eukaryotic cell like cytoskeleton, cilia and flagella, and also microbodies, centriole in case of animal cell. So these topics I am going to include in the next videos. Thank you.